Hello and welcome to this series of videos for let reviewees and also for those who are taking entrance examinations and other related examinations. So this is general education, particularly focused on mathematics. To get started, here is the first question. Feli mails a recipe to three friends. Each of the three friends mails the recipe to three more friends and so on. What what is the total number of recipes on the sixth mailing? The choices are A 27, B 81, letter C 243, D 729. As always, we need to analyze the problem. If we have encountered this type of problem in the past, then we can infer that this is a case of a geometric sequence or a geometric progression problem. But if we haven't, then we can do other things. Now we can use other techniques. In this case, we can make use of the listing method. This is a sequence, so we need to identify the first term or the first element of the sequence, and in that case, that should be the first mailing done by Feli. So Feli mailed the recipe to her three friends. So that should give us three as the first term of the sequence. For our second term, we need to analyze the situation. The three friends of Feli mailed the same recipe to three more friends. In this case, that should be 3 times 3, we get 9. And on the next mailing, the third mailing, the 9 friends need to mail the same recipe to three more friends each. So that should be 9 times 3 to get 27. So our the terms in our sequence are 3, 9, and 27. Now, if we notice, we can actually take a rule out of these three terms, and that is that the next term is found by raising the first term to the power of the of that term. No? So in this case, for the first term, that's 3 to the power of 1. The second term, 3 to the power of 2 to get 9. Third term, that's 3 to the power of 3. And for the fourth term, that's 3 to the power of 4. And that should give us 81. And the fifth term, that should be 3 to the power of 5. That gives us 243. And for the sixth term, that is 3 to the power of 6. And that should give us 729, which is actually what is being asked in the problem. The problem is asking us what is the total number of recipes on the sixth mailing. And as using geometric progression, the rule that uh, we just found out that it is the first term raised to the power of the nth term, the term that we are looking for. In this case, 3 to the power of 6, and which gives us 729. Hence, the correct answer for this problem is letter D, 729. For our second question, Dan plans to take 5 more push-ups each day until he can do 75. He begins with 15. How many days will it take him to reach his goal? The choices are A, 15, B, 14, C, 13, and D, 12. Now, here are some ways to solve this problem. But the easiest is to use the skip counting method. So we know that Dan started with 15 push-ups and he keeps on adding 5 as he or as every day. No? So what we can do is to start with 15 and we add 5 every time. So we do the skip counting by 5. So 15, the next is 20 because we're doing skip counting by 5. So that's 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, and 75. And if we count all these, then it should uh, gives us the number of days, which is 13 days. The second method is to use the formula. In this case, I'm just showing you the the last part of that formula, which is uh, doing first the subtraction. Subtract the goal of Dan, which is 75, the last, minus his when he started. He started with 15, so 75 minus 15, and that should give us 60. Divided by the number of push-ups that he adds every day, or the increment. So that's divided by 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12. But that should not be the last part of that. We should add 1 because we need to include day 1. So 12 plus 1 gives us 13. That should be 13 days. So the correct answer for this problem is letter C, 13 days. Here's our third problem. Jason wants to fence a triangular area in the backyard for a garden. The three sides measure 35 feet, 50 feet, and 54 feet. How many 25 feet rolls of fence will he need? The choices are A, 5 feet, 5 rolls, B, 9, C, 7, and D, 6. Now, if you analyze this problem, this is a relatively easy one. So what we just need to do is to solve this is to first add or to find the perimeter of the triangle. So we need to add the sides. We have 35 plus 50 plus 54, which is equal to 139. Now after getting 139 as the perimeter, we divide this with the 25 feet. Why 25? Because that is the length of each roll for the fence. So 139 plus 25, we get 5 point something, or that's 5 plus a decimal value. But since there is no option, or there's no option in our choices with a decimal value, then we need to round this up. And rounding this up meaning we add 1, and that should give us 6. And practically there's no such thing as 5 point something fence, no? Or 5 point something roll. No? So we just need to round this up. Thus, the correct answer is letter D, 6 rolls. So Jason needs 6 rolls. So for problem number 4, we have here, what is the sum of all two-digit numbers which are divisible by 5? The choices are A, 945, B, 950, C, 1050, and letter D, none of these. There are several ways to solve this problem, but the one that I'm going to share with you in this video is probably the easiest and the quickest. So the problem is asking us to find the sum. So we need to add all two-digit numbers that are divisible by 5. So if we identify all these two-digit numbers, we actually begin with 10. Now, uh, firstly, we need to identify what is a number that is divisible by 5. So any number that is divisible by 5 ends with either 0 or 5. So if we begin with 10, because 10 is the first two-digit number, then it's also divisible by 5. So if we begin by 10, we next to it would be 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. And we do not include 100 because that's already a three-digit number. Now, if we count all of these, we actually get 18 numbers, which are 18 two-digit numbers, which are divisible by 5. Now, uh, what I usually do is to add the first and the last uh, number in the sequence. No? So the one that I had mentioned earlier is the first term is 10, and the last term would be 95. Adding 10 and 95 would give us 105. Now, the second step is to find the number of pairs, because what I just did is to pair the first and the last term. So how many pairs are there in this case? So since we already identified or we counted that there are 18 numbers, 18 two-digit numbers that are divisible by 5, if we get the pair dividing 18 by 2, we get 9 pairs. So that 9 pairs can be multiplied with 105. Now, why is it 105? Because if we pair all the other numbers, say we pair 15, and next to we pair it with 90, we still get 105, and so on with 20, adding 85, we still get 105. So next step is to just multiply 9, the number of pairs, 9 pairs, by the sum of each pair, which is 105. So 9 times 105 will give us 945. And 945 is the sum of all two-digit numbers that are divisible by 5. Therefore, the correct answer is letter A, 945. For our next problem, it says here, a lizard climbs up a 30-foot pole. Each day, it climbs up 7 feet, and each night, it slips back 4 feet. How many days will it take the lizard to reach the top? Letter A, 8 days, B, 9, C, 10, and D, 11 days. Now, here's a technique that I usually do whenever I encounter this kind of or this type of problem. First is I solve for the net distance. Now, in this case, the lizard can climb up 7 feet at day and slips back 4 feet at night. So to find the net distance, simply subtract 7 by 4 or 7 minus 4 to get 3 feet. Now 3 feet is, or 3 here is the net distance. Next step is to find the multiples of 3 that are closer to 30, since we know that the length or the height of the pole is 30 feet. Now, what are the multiples of 3 that are closer to 30? In this case, we know that there are two. These are 24 and 27. Now, taking 24 first, 24 is uh, on the eighth day. Now, why? Because 24 divided by 3 is 8. And we know that it's the result when the lizard climb up on the eighth day, climbs up by 7 and slips back by 4 feet. So, in this case, 24 is on the eighth day. Now, let's use this. Say we are on the eighth day, and if the lizard climbs up on the ninth day, it climbs up by 7 feet. So 24 plus 7 is 31 feet. In that case, it's already, or the lizard is already on top. In fact, the lizard is beyond the top of the pole, in this case. So uh, since this is the case, then ninth day or 9 days would be the answer to this particular question. Hence, the correct answer is letter B, 9 days. Next problem, it says here, Nilo picked some mangoes. He gave half to her mother and half of the remaining mangoes to Alan. Alan received 9 mangoes. How many mangoes did Nilo pick? The choices are A, 9, B, 18, C, 27, and D, 36. Again, there are several ways in solving this particular problem. The usual or standard way is to use algebra, but in this case, I will not be sharing to you the algebraic technique because that's usually taught in other videos. So what I'm going to share with you is using the bar model approach, which is espoused by Singapore mathematics. So I'm going to create a single bar, a whole, and I'm going to divide it into two. And by dividing it by two, I'll uh, get one half or two one halves. So this one of these two is the one or is the portion that Nilo gave to his mother. We don't know how many mangoes did he give, but we know it's one half of all that he picked. So one half of the bar is uh, being given by Nilo to his mother. The other half is the remaining half. But one half of the remaining half is, or Nilo give to Alan. So one half of that remaining half is the number of mangoes that Nilo gave to Alan. So in this case, we can divide that half again into two, getting two one-fourths. So we have one one-fourth and the other another one-fourth. Now in the problem, it's already given that uh, what do you call this? That Alan received nine mangoes, and that's equal actually to one-fourth of all the mangoes that Nilo picked. So in this case, one-fourth of all mangoes is equal to nine mangoes. Now the other one-fourth is of course equal to nine because that's just equal to one-fourth. So we have here two one-fourths, each equal to 9. And if we add the two one-fourths, we get one half. And if we add the two nines, 9 plus 9, we get the number of mangoes, which is half of all. So half of all the mangoes that Nilo picked is equal to 9 plus 9, which is simply equal to 18. Therefore, the other half is also 18. So one half is 18, the other half is 18. If you want to get the whole or the total number of mangoes that Nilo picked, we simply add 18 plus 18 to get 36. Now the other technique is by simply doing a quick analysis. Now we use uh, the last piece of information given, which is the number of mangoes that Nilo gave to Alan. So we start with the last information going backwards, and we know that nine mangoes were given by Nilo to Alan, and this is half of the remaining. So half of the half, and what is half of one half? It is one-fourth. So the one-fourth of all mangoes is equal to nine. Now to get the total number of mangoes, we simply multiply one-fourth and nine by the reciprocal of one-fourth, which is 4. No? Multiplying one-fourth by 4, we get 1, and multiplying 9 by 4, we get 36. Therefore, the whole or the entire or the total number of mangoes that Nilo picked is 36. Hence, the correct answer is letter D, 36. 36 mangoes. For our next problem, it says here, the current sales tax in Butuan City is 7%. How much tax will you pay for in food supplies worth 9,700? A 679, B 546 pesos, C 987, or letter D 970 pesos. To solve this problem, I am proposing two techniques on your screen right now. Number one is the standard way of doing this, which is first converting the percentage into a decimal format. In this case, 7% is equal to 0.07. And after getting 0.07, we can directly multiply it with the base, which is given in the problem as 9,700. And multiplying 0.07 to 9,700 gives you 679. Now, if you're quick in multiplying uh, numbers like this, then you can do the standard way of doing this. Another is doing an alternative way or technique. First, by finding the 1% of 9,700. Now, to find 1%, we simply move the decimal point from right to left twice. Now, since there are it's 1%, so we move it twice to the left to get 97. And next is to round up 97 or round off 97 to 100. And the next step would be to get 7% or multiply 7 by 100 to get 700. Thus, the answer is approximately 700, meaning it's closer to 700 but not more than 700. Now, in the choices, we can we only have one option that is close to 700, and that's letter A, 679. Another way is to do also an approximation or estimation by simply um, rounding off the base. No, in this case, it's 9,700. We can round this up to 10,000. And next is to get 7% of 10,000, which is also 700. So either of these techniques can be helpful, no? As long as you're able to perform the required steps. Therefore, the correct answer is letter A, 679. Next problem, it says here, a ribbon was cut into two pieces whose lengths are in the ratio 3:5. One piece is 4 cm longer than the other. How or what are the lengths of the two pieces? A, 12 cm and 16 cm. B, 10 cm and 14 cm. C, 8 and 12 cm. Letter D, 6 and 10 cm. Again, there are several ways of solving this problem, but what I'm going to zoom in right now is um, a logical way, and this is a quicker way of doing this type of problem. Now we're given a ratio of the two pieces of ribbon, and that is 3:5. And another given is that one piece is longer by 4 cm. Now with these two information or two pieces of information, we can actually make use of the relationship, since we know that the other given is the difference of the length of the two pieces, and that is 4. We can find, or we need to find first the difference of the two ratios. In this case, the difference of 3 and 5 is 2. Now to get the factor will be useful in finding the actual numbers. Now to get the factor, we divide the actual difference, which is 4 cm, by the difference of the ratios. In this case, it's 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Therefore, the factor is 2. And we will use this factor 2, to multiply to the given ratio. So in this case, 3 and 5 will be multiplied by the factor 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. In this case, we are now able to find the lengths of the two pieces, which are 6 cm and 10 cm. And if we get their difference, we get 4 cm, because 10 minus 6 is 4. Hence, the correct answer is letter C, letter C, not letter C, but letter D, 6 cm and 10 cm. For our next problem, it says here, write 2.9696 dot 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 as a common fraction. The choices are A, 98 over 33, B, 198 over 33, letter C, 89 over 33, and letter D, 108 over 33. To solve this problem, I have a technique that I usually use, but in this case, this is customized for this type of problem. Now, this is for me, a quicker way, a faster way of solving problems that involve repeating decimals. Now, we're given with 2.9696 dot dot dot, and it simply means that the digits 9 and 6 are being repeated infinitely. So, first is the goal is to get a common fraction out of this given. So, first is to identify what would be our denominator. In this case, our denominator is immediately 99. Why is it 99? Because we have two digits that are repeating. If it's only one digit, then it should be 9 only. Or if it's three digits that are repeating, then our target denominator will be 999. But in this case, since we have 96 or two digits repeating, our denominator would be 99. How to get the numerator? Okay, in this case, we just simply take the whole number and the the the, the digits in the decimal place value as one, no, and we just ignore the decimal point. So in this case, we can have it as a regular whole number. Instead of having 2.96, we get 296, and we subtract the whole number part because there's a whole number here that is 2, so it should be 296 minus 2 to get 294. And with this 2, we already have the fraction 294 over 99. Now, we can check if this 2 is divisible by, if the numerator and the denominator are divisible by uh, a common factor or a common divisor. In this case, we can divide this 2 by 3, and 294 divided by 3 is equal to 98, and 99 divided by 3 is equal to 33. So the simplest form should be 98 over 33 because you can no longer find a common divisor for both 98 and 33. Thus, the correct answer is letter A, 98 over 33. For our last problem, it says here, Mrs. Pascual borrowed 15,000 at 10% interest rate per annum. How much did she pay back after 9 months? The choices are A, 1,125, B, 16,125, C, 13,875, and D, 16,500. Since this is a case of simple interest problem, then we will make use of the formula of simple interest, which is interest is equal to the product of the principal, the interest rate, and the term or the time. Now we can identify the values of each of the variables. P, principal, is equal to 15,000, rate is 10%, and T in this case is 9 months. So in the problem, it states there that the interest rate of 10% is good for 1 annum or 1 year. So in this case, uh, it should be less than 10%. But we will just input all of these. But before that, we need to get the term. It's 9 months over 12 months because there are 12 months in a year. So 9 over 12. Simplifying that, we get 3/4 or 3 over 4. And inputting all of these values in the formula, so we get interest is equal to 15,000 times 10% times uh, 3 over 4. So if we multiply this without the use of calculator, what is 10% of 15,000? That is 1,500, and 3/4 of 1,500 is 1,125. But since the problem is asking us how much did Mrs. Pascual pay back after 9 months, so that should include the principal. So we add 15,000, the principal, and 1,125 to get 16,125 as the total the total amount that Mrs. Pascual needs to pay back after 9 months. Hence, the correct answer in this problem is letter B, 16,125. I hope you find this video useful, and if you do, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, and God bless us.